All right, let's jump right in. If you've ever tried to find a winning product to sell online, you definitely know the feeling. You spend hours, maybe days, just scrolling and scrolling, and you end up even more confused than when you started. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a blueprint that completely flips that whole frustrating process on its head.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it. You see, the real difference between a seller who's struggling and one who's successful isn't luck, not at all. It's having a solid, repeatable process. We're about to pull back the curtain on exactly what that process looks like.
So, what is this magic process? Well, it really boils down to these two paths you see here. Over on the left, that's the beginner's path. It's all just guesswork, copying what everyone else is doing, and honestly, just hoping for the best. But then you look to the right. That's the pro's path. It's a straight line, guided by data, filtering, and validation at every single step. So first, let's talk about the path most people end up on, the beginner's gamble. It's an approach that wastes so much time and money, and believe it or not, it all comes from one single fundamental mistake. You know what I'm talking about, right? This is the classic strategy. See a product go viral on social media, jump on the bandwagon, and just hope you can grab a tiny piece of the action before it's over. It's totally reactive, it's based on hope, and it's exactly why most new sellers fail before they even get off the ground. So, how do we get off that hamster wheel? How do we avoid that gamble? Well, it all starts with a simple but really profound mental shift. It's all about changing the one question you ask yourself at the very beginning of your product search. And here it is. This is the question that leads so many beginners astray. What looks cool, or what do I think will sell? It's totally subjective, it's based on your own personal bias, and it has almost zero to do with what the market actually wants to buy. Now, here's the shift. This is the game changer. A professional doesn't ask what might sell, they ask what is already selling. This one question changes absolutely everything. It forces you to look for cold, hard data, for proof, not just potential. And this is the foundation for the entire blueprint. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. The first part of this blueprint, finding demand. This is where we stop just browsing and we start actually analyzing. The goal here is to find hard evidence that customers are already out there, consistently buying. So the process kicks off with product research tools. Software that tracks all the sales data on big marketplaces. But the secret is how you use them. First, you have to filter, not just browse. You set really specific criteria like a minimum monthly sales volume. Second, you prioritize consistency over hype. You're looking for those steady weekly sales. And third, you analyze the long-term trend. Is this demand stable, or even better, is it growing over time? And this is such a crucial distinction to make. On the left, you've got hype, that sudden viral spike that's everywhere one day and completely gone the next. But on the right, you have consistency, those steady, maybe even kind of boring week after week sales. That consistency, that is where the real long-term value is. That's your target. Okay, so you found a product with steady demand. That's great. But what if there are already 10 other people selling it? Well, this next phase is all about finding your specific opening, your entry point, by analyzing the competition. Now, listen up, because this is a huge mindset shift. So many people see competitors and they just run for the hills. But a pro knows that some competition is actually a good thing. It proves the market exists. The real opportunity isn't finding some empty desert with no one in it. It's about finding a busy market that's being served poorly. So what does weak competition actually look like? Well, it's stuff you can spot right away. Blurry product images, vague descriptions that are full of typos, a seller with no real brand to speak of. But you know what the most powerful sign of all is? When a product is selling consistently despite all of these problems, that tells you the demand is insanely strong. All right, this last validation check is all about the customer. First, are people consistently leaving reviews? This proves they're actually engaged with the product. Second, are they buying it at a few different price points? This shows that the value is really clear to them. And finally, are those orders coming in reliably, day after day? This confirms the product solves a real, ongoing problem for people. Okay, so let's tie all these data points together to see the final result. See, when you follow this blueprint, you're not just finding a product, you're actually building a foundation for predictable, sustainable growth. I absolutely love this quote because it just perfectly captures the feeling you have at this stage. Every single decision is backed up by data. You're not just launching something into the void and hoping it works. No, You're moving forward with total confidence because you are simply following the proof that you've already found.
And that's the ultimate payoff, right? By taking all the guesswork out of the equation, you basically go from being blindfolded and throwing darts at a board to having a clear, predictable staircase to growth. Your financial risk is dramatically lower, and your path forward becomes crystal clear.
And think about the practical benefits here. When you have proof of demand, running ads is way easier because you know exactly who you're targeting. The people who find you naturally, your organic traffic, they convert better because you're just offering a superior version of something they already want. And scaling your business, it just becomes a simple matter of execution, not more guesswork. So as we wrap this up, this is the question I really want to leave you with. As you think about your next move, your next product, are you going to take the beginner's path and just make a guess? Or are you going to follow the blueprint and build your entire business on a solid foundation of proof? The choice honestly makes all the difference in the world.